Hello everyone, this is LimAK here, and I'm playing Face of the World on the PC. So this was an indie strategy game that was released a couple months ago, and part of the reason why it was developed was to raise awareness about climate change. So it was actually partnered with guys like Oxfam, who obviously care a lot about this sort of stuff. But the weird thing was they actually made a really cool game out of it. So I've got a game running right now, so I'm just going to resume. And I'm just going to end the turn so you can see what's going to happen. So you have various amounts of information you get. So you've got the temperature rise for the year here, and the level of emissions and how much it's risen, as you would expect. And you obviously have some like news ticker sort of things, like saying you've got a scientific background, people have got instability that's going to go badly. This is the emissions summary, which basically says which territories have higher or lower emissions than expected. And this is how much they like you, and apparently Russia doesn't like me a whole lot, so I should probably try and do something about that. So in each one of these territories you recruit agents, and basically the more agents you have per territory, the more things you can do in that territory in any given turn. And in Face of the World, a turn represents 5 years. So the objective for this mission is just to reach the year 2080 while not failing any of these objectives here, which is actually quite difficult and really sort of teaches you that climate change is kind of hard to beat, but it doesn't quite hit you over the head as much as I'm making it sound. But if I have a look at the news ticker for Russia, it can tell me that I've got strikes and people are not very healthy. So if I go to this panel here, you can see I could get environmental protection, but I don't really need that right now. What I really need are some way to deal with the strikes and some way to deal with healthcare. So I can actually say, start developing a healthcare program, and in case those protests become something else, let's provide some security assistance, and that should provide some stability for the region. And the thing really about this game is it doesn't really tell you all of this stuff. In fact, I have failed this mission about 3 times now, so I'm still working on trying to figure out what the best way to solve this is. But this is clearly, I need security, because otherwise riots are going to go on the streets, and that would be really, really bad. And let's see what else was a problem. A dry year. So this is like saying you're probably going to want some water. So you can be reactive and just say, I want a water management program. And pretty much in the beginning, you are just going to be very reactive because you don't have enough money to predict and preemptively buy a lot of this stuff. So general strikes, political instability. So that these two pretty much cover everything that urgently needs to be done in the Middle East. So, but I'm going to move on to India for the time being. Water stress, peaceful protests. So this game really is for people that like management sims. So if you're really into like the nitty-gritty of things like SimCity, you're probably going to get quite a lot out of a game like this, because it's actually very cool how all this actually ends up working out, of trying to manage all your territories to try and keep them all happy, trying to develop all these territories so they generate more money for you so you can do more things. And here's one of the things I really dislike about the game, is that it doesn't necessarily expose all the information you need to make all these choices in a particularly clear way. So, and see, a smog, that's air pollution. So I can go in here, I can have a look at my air emissions. You can see, here is the breakdown of my air emissions. And then I can just start digging in further and further and further. It would be really nice if it could expose this in a slightly nicer way than a series of charts and diagrams like this. I mean, they're functional and they work, but I think there's probably a better way they could have done it. So you actually to do well at this, you're going to be spending quite a lot of time looking at all these graphs and saying, I wonder what I could change here to make this better. So here I can see that India relies quite a lot on coal power, and if I go back one, if I can find the back button here, that wasn't it. I can see what their industry is using, and for industry it's a pretty decent mix of oil and coal, but the emissions rate is nowhere near that of just my energy usage. So I'm just going to deal with that right now. Except I can't quite yet. So to do a lot of the stuff you need to do, you need to get each, like, these offices which unlock cards to help you do things. So you've got an office for environmental, technology, energy, and welfare and politics. I apparently forgot to buy the energy one, so it's going to have to wait for the time being. But I can deal with the coal industry right now, and I should probably try and do something about forestry in the region as well. And I'm also going to get them a medical program. I don't really think anything else needs to be done for the region immediately, but basically India is the reason why I've been failing this mission a whole lot, because the air pollution's gotten to the point where this human development index has just plummeted really, really low because they're all dying. So it's improved one since last turn, but it'll go down further and further and further unless I do something about it now. But yeah, that's one of the other things about this game, is that in the beginning 3 turns of this mission, I've basically managed to screw me up for the entire rest of the mission, simply because I couldn't repair the damage that had been done. And, you know, that's kind of the theme, I guess, of the game and trying what it's teaching you. But it's annoying that stuff like that can happen. But it does, you know, encourage replaying missions to try and get it down right. So what else needs to be done in South Africa? Medical program, that's already underway, so I don't think anything really urgently needs to be done. So I'm going to try and teach people things, and let's also get... So yeah, that buying education, like, you don't really need to, because it doesn't help that much, but obviously it'll help the country grow and develop, and you can increase the industry and the amount of money it produces. But I was very much looking forward and ahead rather than being reactive. And you do need to do quite a lot of that as well in this, because if you just be reactive all the time, like waits till a wildfire comes, destroys a bunch of stuff, and then get defenses, it's just going to keep hurting you over and over and over again. I'm not quite sure what I should do with that spare slot. I don't think I need anything. Let's just move on. If I have more money, I'll come back. So droughts. And yeah, a lot of these cars, like saying I want a medical welfare program, it says it lasts for an infinite time. It doesn't. It takes a variable amount of time to complete. So for some territories, it'll take very, very little time. For territories, especially poorer territories like North and South Africa, the medical welfare program can take decades to complete. But again, it doesn't really communicate how long it'll actually take to do. But I'm just going to quickly finish up this turn so we can see how this will actually turn out for me. I expect it'll probably turn out quite badly because I'm not playing it properly. Need water, got security coming, and Everyone likes healthcare. South Asia, massive deforestation, peaceful protests. So let's just go get by a regional office. Nothing really to do in Australia because they're all happy and shiny. Maybe get some water in Latin America. So South Africa, what do you guys need? Get jobs and let's help your water situation. Oh, I can't afford that. That might have just been a really bad move I just did then. Let's grow their industry. While I'm here, I should probably do something. Wildfire. I know wildfires are a big problem for Australia, so I might as well just buy that now. And yeah, while this game was designed to raise awareness about climate change, I don't think it particularly succeeds all that much because it doesn't really teach you all this stuff about climate change, what is best to counter what is going on in the world. So, you know, there are obvious things like coal power is very dirty and you should try and reduce the use of it, but things like how nuclear power can be used to reduce the usage of other power supplies, but you have to worry about uranium and production and so on. It's not very good at communicating all of that stuff. It's pretty buried. It will require a lot of trial and error for you to actually figure out what's going to work, how well things work, and that's a problem with this because it's not accessible, I guess, so I don't think it succeeds at its educational goal. I mean, it's a lot of fun as a game, but I think there are definitely things that could have been done to make it a more accessible game and better as a teaching tool. But regardless, they seem to have made a good game first, and that's pretty cool from that perspective. Anyway, see quickly how that turn has turned out for me, and then I think that will be all. But yeah, you can see that India was pretty happy with all the stuff I did just then. Unfortunately, air pollution is still a pretty big issue, although I seem to have increased the life expectancy of people, so that's good for me, I guess. Although I expect that will probably decrease later on because my emissions are still rising. And how much do they rise? Raised by about 1,000, so air pollution is still going to continue being a problem in India for a little while to come. But I can now play a card that says stop using coal, and this will decline coal power over time. It's not like instantaneous over like next turn I won't suddenly have 0 coal power. It'll maybe reduce by about 1,000 while they swap to other power sources. But that's pretty much all I have to say about Fate of the World. I think it's a pretty cool game, and it's on Steam right now, so if you are I don't think it's a demo or anything, but it's pretty cool. If you're into like world management sims and that sort of thing, you should definitely check it out. Alright, see ya.